I will say this because I said I wanted to touch on coaching. I won't go too deep because I know it's late, but I don't think Nick Nurse is doing a good job with this team. And what I think I was most down on this performance about is more of a macro problem in that I think Nick Nurse's style is not a good match for what style this team needs, which is to say his philosophy on offense is simplistic, right? Talk about it all the time. He doesn't want to run a lot of complicated stuff, wants to play free-flowing basketball. You're coming out of DHOs. It's 0.5 decision-making. And it's not to say they don't run things. They have some wrinkles and some sets and some things that I like. But he's not someone who generally is like, oh, we're setting up the chess pieces every time down. And I don't even necessarily want a coach generally who is that type of guy. I don't need a drill sergeant, tactician type guy. But I think this team might need one, right? Like, I think this team needs a more hands-on approach than the one that they're getting in terms of the play-to-play, possession-to-possession, quarter-to-quarter stuff, because you just go through too many periods where it's like, what the hell are these guys doing? And you end up with a lot of possessions where it's one thing when you're running the same plays over and over again and you're getting Joel the ball at the nail. When Joel's catching the ball with his feet straddling the three-point line and his pickup point is way far away from the basket and he's settling for these garbage foot on the line, long twos over, smaller defenders. That's not just a failure on Joel. That's a failure of the offense and what has been designed and what is being run. And on top of that, as Derek is saying, as Devon, you're saying, you're doing things like starting Kyle Lowry when Yabusele is playing fairly well in that game, or at least playing well in the first half. You come back in the second half and you start Lowry again. He's still on the floor to open the third quarter after stinking it up the night before. Like the process has just been bad on so many different levels. And I don't know how you fix it without Nick Nurse changing his whole approach and how he goes about coaching a basketball team. Like, it's just, he's going to have to fundamentally shift some of his priorities. If we're talking about changing the plan, this needs his plan and his way and his approach absolutely needs to change because it is not working.
And we've seen him do this before where he said that he was going to. We saw it with McCain. McCain came off the bench. Someone else started. And when he saw how it worked out in the first half, coming out of the locker room, McCain was in the starting lineup because he saw the adjustment that needed to be made, to your point, and that was not made again tonight. Quickly, just to ask you, though, as you talk about Derek, you can't see this anymore. You can't go through it anymore. We're seeing Kyle Lowry on the floor. They need some help. Well, in the interim, I know we talked about it a little bit last night outside of the Lonnie Walker piece, and if they're not going to make a trade until February 6th, with that roster spot, do you maybe look to add someone who's a free agent right now to give you some help at the ball handling? Is that something that you would like for them to do?
Yes. And I don't have a great, Lonnie Walker's a name that is very obvious just because he was available.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you Lonnie Walker solves anything. I'm telling you that you have your four options on the roster right now are a disaster and you have to try. If the only thing getting in your way from trying, and again, not a solution, not a guarantee, nothing like that. If the only thing getting in your way is a little bit of Josh Harris's money, then what are we doing here? Like, we're sitting here talking about playing Joel Embiid 3 games in 4 nights because they can't win a game without him. Part of the reason that you can't win a game without him is you only have one real legitimate guard on the floor. Jared McCain went down. You have to do something to try to adjust. You can't go the next 6 weeks with this roster. You just can't do it.
We all silly like the mayor.